Hello, welcome back to BlenderSushi Live Noding. In this episode, I'm gonna explore a little bit the Blender compositing, and I'll be using animation nodes to create this setup. Basically, it's like a trace holding kind of effect, and I'm kind of using the script node of animation nodes to do this, to create this design based on this original photo. I took the photo from internet somewhere. I don't know, it's probably copyrighted, so I will use a different photos. But this is the final result. So basically, I'm able to kind of keep this trace holding of this. Basically, if we have like two color that's very close together, using ColorRamp node, we are able to create this kind of threshold effects, kind of like a 1-bit kind of image, where this is the original image with a lot of colors, and you just threshold it, just simplify the image into just 1 bit, just either or, like a I think it's like an on-off or black and white only, like a dual tone. You might be able to do this in Photoshop as well, but I'm using Blender these days, so this is really cool setup I found, and I will show you the whole process from the beginning. So let's get started. File, save as. This is trace holding art. Gonna switch to compositing because we are gonna be using the compositing node. I'm gonna load my image. It's gonna be my black dog. Okay, so this is a low version of this dog photo that I took. So it's very simple to do this. Basically, I turn on use nodes, and then instead of working with render layers, I will be using image, of course. Or you can go input and then select image, and then select this loaded image, and plug this into the composite. If you want to render it out, you can just hit render, and then it will output it to the composite. But I will be using the viewer node because it's instantious. So it's plugged into the viewer, and then I will be using the ColorRamp. Okay, this node, one of my favorite, is very powerful and very simple to use. Basically, I will be just using 2 color, but you can later on you can work with multiple color and make like a 3-tone or 4-tone, like multiple color. This ColorRamp basically can kind of turn your image into just change the whole gradient or range of color in an image into a different color. Let's say you want to change this into black and white, you can kind of use ColorRamp. Let's look at the result. Change to viewer node and update it. Now we already have kind of a cool looking image. Sometimes you like this kind of high contrast image. This is actually similar to Daido Moriyama, a Japanese photographer who likes to use this kind of film. It's like very high contrasty image, and I found this really beautiful as well. But it depends what you're doing, and you can easily change any photo into dual tone. And in this case, I really want it to be just black and white. Maybe let's check it out. Oh, actually, this should be white. I think if we are doing it like too much, it's become. If we switch the black and white, it's become an inverted color. So keep that in mind. Let's make this proper white. See, I was doing this earlier, and then and kind of having to control this two like a 2 button. It's kind of even though it's okay, you know, you can kind of tweak it until you like it, and then okay, you're done with it. But I feel like maybe I can control this using animation nodes, and so that's what I'm trying to do now. So I will open a node editor here, and I will switch to animation nodes, and maybe I will also have the Python console in here, Python console, so I can kind of test the script. The script won't be too hard. It's actually really simple, and if you are like if you use Python for a while, it's very easy. If you're beginner, you can still follow this tutorial. Okay, so the idea is to use animation nodes to control the position of this color, whether it's inverted or not, and also the color of this these two color, because we just want to work with a duotone, so we are able to adjust this threshold very easily, so we don't need to move these 2 points all the time. Okay, so that's the idea. Let's save this. This is the starting point. Save into new version, and then let's check this guy at the top here. I want to check the history. You know, when we are doing this, I was actually kind of expecting Blender to display something here in relation to the node. Apparently, it doesn't. Unfortunately, until I kind of play around with the color, and I just realized, okay, then finally Blender actually displaying this information, and I was thinking, okay, maybe I can access that in the maybe I can access this data block using Python now. Okay, I try it, not groups, and then apparently the compositor is not there. It's only like the node 3 in for animation nodes. See, it says node 3. If I say this is like gonna be tweak threshold, so I check. See, this node groups doesn't have the compositor. I think the compositor itself is not something that's accessible yet in the way that animation nodes kind of work. It's different kind of thing. So I was actually confused. Even I can't, you know, I cannot copy paste this guy, and then it doesn't actually work. It surprised me a bit. See, it keeps saying BPY prop collection key compositing not found, not compositor not found. Even I tried to change this to different color, it doesn't work. It's kind of weird. Okay, that's the first thing, and I actually took a screenshot somewhere. This guy, I found this question at Blender Stack Exchange. It says BPY data node groups key is empty. What's going on? Yes, actually, to be able to access that compositor, we need to use bpy.context.scene node 3, which is weird, but sometimes this is actually the thing that's happening in Blender sometimes, so that's okay. We can actually access this this data block this way. Node 3 dot node 3 is actually contains this compositing node 3, which is our compositing nodes, of course, and we can actually access any of the nodes, like the ColorRamp, and then change the actual color, ColorRamp dot elements 0 color, and we can check the color. Okay, I think I can do it like this. No, not colorable. Okay, anyway, I will get this thing, and I'm gonna copy it into a text editor. This is gonna be to modify the color, so it's a tweak color. I'm gonna hide this for a bit. So BPY context scene node 3 color. This, I believe, if I change this to red color, for example, 100 RGB red, and then alpha 1, I change this to red. I can change this to alpha. See, now the dogs become transparent. I can also change the other color because we're only working with 2 color in this case, so it's you can use the index, so that's pretty easy. So I change this to yellow because it's 110. This is RGBA, so it's a 4. So okay, cool. So we get that working. So we can control that using animation nodes. Then it's really simple now. Inside animation nodes, we're gonna be using script node. Script node is really powerful. If you know Python and Blender Python and you understand programming concept, this whole workflow become really powerful. Like I only know a little bit. I don't have programming background, and I studied programming on my own. So, and Blender has been one of my best tool to practice Python and also to learn more and then to express myself using Python and nodes. So anyway, script node allows you to load the script, and we know that by default animation nodes will run the scripts on every frames. In this case, we don't need to do that. Just when the frame is changed or the property is changed. Okay. So we're gonna load. We're gonna create an input because we know right away this script node will be a node that allows us to change the color. So this, I'll name this tweak color. I will create input. It's gonna be color A and color B because that's gonna be the name of our variable. This can be anything actually. This is just the name of the variable, but the type itself, you need to correctly give it whether it's a vector or color, which is RGB A, and then there is also float or integer or string. It has all the data types, common data types in Python. Anyway, color A and color B. So we have the input, cool, and let's load our script from this import BPY, and then yeah, this is our Python script. And for the color here, we just need to change it. You know, we just need to assign our variable into this guy. You can actually make this script a little bit cleaner if you change it to something like this. Let's say compositor node 3 equal BPY blah blah blah, and then we just replace all of these with that variable, so it's a bit cleaner. Here, if we read it, so it's accessing the comp node 3, and then it's accessing this ColorRamp. ColorRamp. Actually, bpy.context scene node 3's node 3 knows ColorRamp. Oh, this is actually directly accessing the ColorRamp. Comp node 3 is actually just up to the 3, so this is the nodes itself. Comp node 3. So this guy, this variable represents bpy.context scene node 3, and then ColorRamp node, or just call it ColorRamp. This represents this node right here. So I just replace this. Now it should work. Okay, see, I'm specifying the index 0 and index 1. I'll make this a little bit bigger so we can see. ColorRamp node, ColorRamp element, element 0, element 1, and then we are modifying the color. Cool, now we can use this node. Just go to under subprograms and get our tweak color nodes, and we get gray, but we have this color A and color B, and then we can just specify our color, you know. Suddenly we are controlling our compositor using animation nodes. That's exactly like how powerful this workflow is. For me, at least, you can do this on the fly. You make a tool on top of a tool here. You can, because you're doing it. Why do you want to do this? You might wonder, because if you're doing it like this, you can really like introduce your own kind of workflow. Let's say now you can actually use like a random number. You see, random number between 0 and 1, and you can actually use this random number into the color if you set up the whole thing properly. So let's say, so we need a color. Okay, let's say we want to create the elements of color ourselves. Since we already have this node, then it's controlling the whole thing, and you can select this over here. It's the same thing that you do here. So you might wonder why are you doing that? Because if we goes inside into the elements, we can control the hue, saturation, value, and everything can be done programmatically. So for this color, for example, I can now use this random color and then randomize the seed to get any color that I want, and I have control over the hue, saturations. Everything's become a number. Everything is becoming like what do you call it, numerical. So this is why it's so powerful. And then the same thing we can do for color B. If we give it like a different seed number, plug into the hue, because we are using HSV, now we can randomize this color. So that's really powerful, and you can also control the whole thing using frame, for example. Suddenly you have a program that does this random color generation in Blender. So if I change this to timeline, whenever I scrub, it's gonna give a different color. So I guess that's really powerful. I think one of the color needs to be darker or brighter than the other. Otherwise, we get like a inverted color. So this is one of such example. Cool. So this is one idea. The next one I want to do is to control the position of these two guys. See, we have these two position, and they kind of control the, what do you call it, the threshold. So how do we control those 2 points? Of course, we can use script node as well, and luckily the nodes itself, the ColorRamp element, instead of color here, we can use the position. So it's telling you, okay, position is at 0.6 blah blah blah. It's this guy's position, so we can change it using our own number pretty easily. And this value is between 0 and 1, and we want to be able to control this, and then kind of the threshold kind of value. If they're really close, actually we get that kind of a threshold looking image. Actually, if we change this to constant, probably it will even look better. Actually, it looks like a threshold even more, but anyway, change it to ease. What was the original? Constant? No, I think linear was the original. So let's control the position of these two color using animation nodes. Okay, let's do that real quick. We just need to copy the whole thing and then make another script, another text, and then paste here. And instead of color, we're gonna control the position. And the variable, let's say position A and position B. That's pretty much it. All we need to do is just to make another script node. I'm gonna load the let's name this tweak position. Load the tweak post and then create a new variable, and this should be float in this case, a type of floating number. Name this position A and name this position B, and then we just create our script. Let's name this tweak position, tweak post. Now we can actually control this guy. See the slider from animation nodes. Cool. It's like a driver, you know. It's not that different. Okay, now all we need to do is just to have one controller to control those two things. So let's create another float input here, and here we have to do a little bit of math, but let's make it really simple. Let's do it like this: multiply or add. This one maybe minus 0.1. This one 0.1. And we put this number. This is gonna be the in-between value, and this is gonna be for the top value, this for the bottom. So what's gonna happen now? You see those two slider, those 2 points at the slider now. They are like 0.1 difference. This is our slider, and we have those two color. That's kind of, we can control both of them at the same time. So that's really cool, right? I think to make this even simpler and nicer for us to be able to control the threshold, let's make another value here and then multiply this by -1, and the top one we multiply by, we don't need this guy anymore, so let's hide it. Okay, we just need one actually. So we have, you see this value minus 0.1 and 0.1. We can say the same thing here. 0.1 goes in there, and then minus 0.1 is, if we multiply this value with this value, we get minus 0.1. So this is going to be our final node setup. It's really still quite simple. We're basically having like one value, like controlling two values. We can hide this, we don't need to see it. This is our threshold kind of value now. See, it shouldn't go too low, but you can go as low as 0.01 or even lower. But now you can see these 2 points moving at the same time, and we can have this threshold looking image, right? So yeah, so that's actually pretty much it that I want to show you. You see what's going on here now. If I'm sliding this while holding shift, I can go really slowly. You see the two values kind of expanding, or they get very close together until they create this kind of threshold looking image. Suddenly it's like you have a tool that generates this in Blender. It's really like a pop art. It's amazing. It's really amazing. I love this tool. And you can just get any other image. Let's say, let's find another image. Not use the Buddha. Okay, I have this. Oh, tone. Okay, let's say use tone. Use tone image as an input and look at it with a viewer node. We need to probably scrub it in the timeline, and suddenly we have pop art tone. It gives you like all this random color, maybe make it 1500 frames. You have unlimited number of variations of this filter, and you can still control this threshold. See, I think that's super cool. If you want, of course, you can always go back to the color and make your own color combinations manually. It doesn't need to be, you know, it doesn't have to be like all programmatically. See, if one is brighter and one is darker than the other, you get like this kind of invert. Very interesting. But I like it. Like this random color, or sometimes you can also use like a noise value, and that can be interesting. Adjust the saturation value, maybe. Okay, maybe this should be like low and then this one should be really high, and now we have like this pop art looking duotone. You can always render it out and print it out, you know, maybe render like 4 of them and then combine it together into like a mosaic, and you really have like a pop art design. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this live noding. Hopefully this is useful. So it's like we are using animation nodes and we are using Blender Compositor, and we also have a little bit of Python kind of thinking, how we are really able to generate this kind of cool setup in Blender. I think Blender is like one of the best tool you can have, like open source tool. There's also like processing and notebooks, and there's a lot these days. But Blender is one of my favorite, and I guess being able to do this using animation nodes add-on, or maybe even using Sverchok, it's like really powerful. It's highly recommended if you are learning programming. This can really help you, because programming itself, you know, if you don't have anything to work on, if you're learning programming and you're working with string words, maybe that's really boring for you. But if you're using Blender as a tool to help you learning programming, it's really a lot more fun. Yeah, this is one of the example. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this live noding. If you have any questions, suggestion, feedback, just let me know down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.